Are you relying on predicted papers to pass your GCSEs? Well, here's the truth. Even though they seem like a shortcut to success, they're actually a scam that could seriously backfire on you. Stick around as I'll explain why predicted papers aren't as reliable as you think and how they could actually leave you unprepared and set you up for failure when it counts the most. For those of you who are new to the channel, hi, I'm Varjod. I'm the founder of Mobile Tutors, and every year we help thousands of students increase their GCSE and A-level grades. I scored 98% in most of my GCSE and A-levels, and I hold a first-class degree from the London School of Economics in Business, Maths and Statistics. So let's get into it. What are predicted papers? Let's start by understanding what these predicted papers actually are. Predicted papers are unofficial exam-style papers that claim to be based on what might come up in the real GCSE exams. Some of these papers are free, but many of these papers you have to pay for and are created by companies close to the exam time. But let's set the record straight. Predicted papers are often based on speculation. While some of these are created by experienced teachers, many of these papers are created by content creators who have no inside knowledge of what's going to come up in the exam, and these are often sold as premium revision resources. And let me set the record straight. Even an experienced teacher will not know what's going to come up in the exam because they are not the ones who have written the paper. You often see misleading titles like 2025 predicted paper. However, these papers are not created by the exam board. Of course, they would not do that because that would be the real exam. So they're not going to predict a paper that's actually going to be the topics that will come up. Otherwise, it won't be a fair exam. Although predicted papers are just additional practice questions for students, these can actually harm a student's preparation for an exam. Predicted papers often overemphasize certain topics and completely miss other topics out. This can leave students unprepared for the real thing and give them a false sense of security. I've seen students get caught out because they focus too much on these predicted papers which focus on certain topics, and this misses out certain parts of the syllabus. Here's what parents and students need to know. Most predicted papers are no more useful than past papers, and in fact, they can actually be misleading. These predicted papers overemphasize certain topics and completely miss other topics out. Students get a false sense of security from focusing too much on them. Imagine this, you revised using the predicted papers, and when the real exam comes, you're actually anticipating these topics to come up. Now, when you open up the exam and these things don't come up, you're going to be in a state of shock and stress in the exam. Not only did these questions and topics come up, but a whole nother set of topics and questions have come up. So you haven't even revised these areas and now you're even more stressed. So what does work? Use official past papers from the exam board. These are the closest thing to the real exam and they have the same structure, format and difficulty of the exam. Practice under time conditions. This builds stamina, confidence and the right exam technique. And most importantly, revise on the topics that your child is actually struggling with, rather than trying to guess what would come up. You should actually focus on trying to build a deep understanding of the topics rather than just trying to guess what would come up on the exam. And yes, we know that every year there are certain questions that are not covered in all of the past papers, but because you've actually worked on the areas you're weak at and you've actually gained a deep understanding of the content, you should be able to tackle these new questions that come up too. What works better is a smart revision strategy based on official past papers, timed exam practice, and focusing on your weak areas rather than guessing what would come up. So next time you see a predicted paper being sold online, ask yourself, is this actually building my confidence or is this just adding to my confusion? And if you're looking for structured, smart support that actually makes a difference, reach out to Mobile Tutors. We're here to help.